of the law. Starting in Exodus, the 20th chapter, verses 1 through 17. Go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Now let's go on to Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Read verses 13 and 14.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Now let's go into Revelation chapter 22. Read verses 14 and 15.
Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city. For without are dogs, and sorcerers, and whoremongers, and murderers, and idolaters, and whosoever loveth and maketh a lie.
So, sisters and brothers, that's the reading of the law. And Israel read the law every Sabbath day. And when I look at the condition of our people, and when I look at the behavior of our people, it needs to be read every Sabbath day. But what's happening is, since the priests went into captivity, that's us, sisters and brothers, the Gentiles grabbed this thing and they took the law away from you and put you everywhere where you didn't supposed to be. Now we're going to get right to this lesson, sisters and brothers. You know, one of the big things, one of the big things I found out about this world and all the God-loving people that they do not represent the God of this Bible, sisters and brothers. You know, it's something I say all the time, and it's a fact, that you can't find one place, let alone two. I won't put the burden of two. You can't find one place in the Bible where God said he was going to take us to heaven. You read a lot of innuendo, you know, where the Lord going to come and the dead going to be raised and the living change and we're going to meet the Lord in the air. What does the word meet mean? It means that you left from where you are and I left from where I am and we met somewhere in between. Nobody bothered to pursue it. All of a sudden, yep, we're going to heaven. No, sisters and brothers, we're coming back down to the earth. We can read that. But the reason I put this lesson together, sisters and brothers, is because everybody, the whole world, have overlooked the kingdom of Jesus that's going to be on this earth before the kingdom of God, which is the Father, come to this earth. Nobody ever talks about the 1,000 years that Jesus is going to rule this earth. But what I want to show, sisters and brothers, is not only is he going to be in the temple ruling this earth, he going to have his saints helping him run this earth. In fact, I titled this, Jesus in his temple, some saints and their jobs. You make that first resurrection, you're going to help the Lord run this earth and you're going to have a job. But if you listen to what's being taught in the houses that's supposed to be the house of God, you don't know nothing about this kingdom that we're going to find out about today. So we're going to deal with this. Everybody loves Jesus, but don't nobody know what he's doing. Neither do they care what he say. People calling me all week on the telephone disputing what's written in the Bible. One of the main things that they say, well, you know, Paul said this, Paul said, I ask the question, is Paul greater than God? You understand? And Peter gave us some good advice. He said, we have a more sure word of prophecy. So when there is a dispute and understanding, I'll put it like that, then go and see what the prophets said about it. And whatever the prophet said, that's the way it is, because Jesus said the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. That means it's the word of prophecy. But we don't deal with that. Right now, sisters and brothers, we have a whole world that's supposed to be serving God. And if you ask them the smallest thing out of the Bible, they don't have a clue. Jesus is going to come, and he's not going to stand up in the stop in the cloud and swoop some people up to him in the clouds and everybody go to heaven. He is going to come and he is going to rule this earth. And we're going to read this today. That's why I like people to have their own Bibles and have some time when you come here. Because I'm not going to send you home feeling good unless you want to know the truth. Because a lot of people sometimes leave here mad and didn't call me back later. Well, I didn't like what you said. I said, you didn't like what you read. So we're going to start this in Malachi, the 3rd chapter. Malachi chapter 3. Because, sisters and brothers, this thing is almost over with. This thing, some stuff going on right now. And when you have the understanding that the Lord will give some of us, it is scary. At my age, I really believe that I'm going to see the coming of the Lord. Not because I'm an emotional person, I am not, but because I'm looking at prophecy. And I've seen what the prophets say, and I looked at the conditions and the signs that Jesus gave and the prophets gave. We're here, sisters and brothers. We're right at the door. So we're going to start at Malachi 3, rather. And we're going to start at verse 1, Malachi 3:1. Okay, read it.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple.
Now, the first messenger he sent was John the Baptist, sisters and brothers. John the Baptist came, and when he got through preaching, he got to the point then Jesus came after him, because John the Baptist had to turn the hearts of the people back to the Lord. And the same thing that people like me are doing nowadays, the same thing that John the Baptist did, but we are just before the great and terrible day of the Lord. But go ahead and read.
Even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in.
Now, who is the messenger of the covenant? Jesus is. That's the one that we delight in. Go ahead and read.
Behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts.
Uh-huh.
But who may abide the day of his coming?
Go ahead.
And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like fuller's soap.
Now, that's a question that I ask. Who is going to abide when he comes? Because he's going to be like a refiner's fire. You know what a refiner's fire is? That burns all of the garbage off. And what's left, that's what it is. And like fuller's soap, go wash all of this dirty and adulterated bad doctrine away. Jesus is going to do that when he comes, sisters and brothers. Skip down to verse 4 and read it.
Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord.
You know, nobody read this, but that's how when the Lord comes, he's going to return to Israel. Then the offering is going to be pleasant to the Lord. Go ahead and read.
As in the days of old, and as in former years.
As in the days of old, as in former years. This is end time prophecy here. This is end time prophecy. So look, the Lord is going to come suddenly to his temple. But what temple is that? Let's go into Revelation, the 11th chapter. Revelation chapter 11. Because one of the biggest problems we have among men, we do not read this Bible. This is a big Bible here. The Lord going to give you this big book and want me to read a half a verse to you and speak to you and preach to you for half an hour. Ain't that much of a talker, believe it or not. I talk out of this because I got a lot to say. But privately, if I don't have nothing to say, if you pay attention when you're communicating with me, you're doing most of the talking. Try it sometime. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 1. 11 and 1. Okay, read it.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
Go ahead.
And the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God.
Now this is the temple of God we're talking about. Go ahead and read.
And the altar, and them that worship therein.
He said, I want you to measure that, because this is what the temple's going to be. But look what he said about the courtway. Go ahead.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not.
Go ahead.
For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months.
So I don't want you to measure the temple out, the courtway, though, because I'm going to give that to the Gentiles, because the holy city is going to be treading down to the Gentiles for 3.5 years. That's 42 months. That time is called the Great Tribulation, sisters and brothers. The Lord didn't even want them to build a temple that this Gentile false prophet is going to set in for 3.5 years on the same spot that his temple is going to be. So he said, I want you to measure, leave that out. But then, if you don't know nothing about the Great Tribulation, then you don't, an abomination of desolation, then you don't know what this is talking about. Briefly, the Lord said, his temple is going to be built on the old temple site, but in the courtway, one's going to be built by the Gentile. Well, in this case, they're going to be occupied by the Gentile. But who is going to build it? The people that call themselves Jews. They're going to build it. They're talking about it every day. They so bent on it. When the people look at where they got the red heifers, they don't understand red heifers for purification for everybody. But being that they are not Israel, they think, well, we got to have this purification so we can launch our priesthood. But whatever way they have it, sisters and brothers, those of us that understand it, we know exactly what they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. It's got to be built, because this Gentile false prophets got to sit and run this world for at least 3.5 years, sisters and brothers. So we're not talking about that temple that they're going to be built. We're talking about the temple that the Lord showed Ezekiel. So let's go into Ezekiel, the 40th chapter. Ezekiel chapter 40. Because, sisters and brothers, you're going to have to learn what to do, because the Lord had Paul tell you to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. And also, Peter told you to deliver yourself from this untoward generation. And the Lord said, I think he said Noah, Job, and Daniel was in the land, and he brought a sword upon the land. They could only save themselves. They can't save their children. They can't save their mothers. They can't save their wives. They can't save nobody but themselves by their own righteousness. That means that you got to learn this thing, don't you? And guys like me are here to teach you this thing, if you will hear. So, this is the temple. Ezekiel 40, and we're going to start at verse 1. Ezekiel 40 and 1. Go ahead and read.
In the 5 and 20th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, in the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after that the city was smitten, in the selfsame day the hand of the Lord was upon me and brought me thither.
Now, when Jerusalem was torn down, when the city was destroyed, the Lord brought the prophet so he could show him the future city that's going to be built in this same spot. Nebuchadnezzar took down Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. Just like the Assyrians took down the northern tribe, which was called Samaria, or they retained the old name Israel. So now, when they took it down, God showed then that, hey, this is not the end. I'm going to show you the future. So he brought him, showed him to the future. The hand of the Lord was on him. Go ahead and read.
In the visions of God brought he me into the land of Israel, and set me upon a very high mountain,
Go ahead.
by which was as the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me thither, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed, and he stood in the gate.
So he brought him, and he showed him the frame of a city, showed him where Israel was going to be built, and Jerusalem. So now I had a man over there, which was an angel, with a measuring rod in his hand. Go ahead and read. What did he say? Go ahead.
And the man said unto me, Son of man, behold with thine eyes, and hear with thine ears, and set thine heart upon all that I shall show thee.
Go ahead.
For to the intent that I might show them unto thee art thou brought hither. Because all that thou seest, declare all that thou seest to the house of Israel.
Now, he brought it now because he wanted Ezekiel to write all of this stuff now. So we, in our generation, especially in the generation for him to come, will read this and know what's going to happen in the future. Because if we look back, Israel had been destroyed. If the Lord hadn't told us that he was going to bring Israel back, we think that, hey, we stuck wherever we are forever, under whatever conditions that come upon us. But he said, no, I want you to show this to Israel. I want them in the future to know what I'm going to do. Go ahead and read.
And behold, a wall on the outside of the house round about. And in the man's hand a measuring reed of 6 cubits long by the cubit and an hand breadth.
Go ahead.
So he measured the breadth of the building, 1 reed, and the height, 1 reed.
Now, we're not going to get off into all of this, just enough to let you know that this angel is showing Ezekiel, he's measuring this. On your own, you can read all of Ezekiel about this temple that's going to be built from 40 to 44. But right now, we have to deal with just pieces of it. So now he started to measure a certain part of it. Now let's go into 41st chapter Ezekiel. 41st chapter Ezekiel, and we're going to read verse 1. Let you know that he is measuring the temple that the Lord is going to set in. Verse 1, go ahead and read.
Afterward, he brought me to the temple and measured the posts, 6 cubits broad on the one side,
go ahead,
and 6 cubits broad on the other side, which was the breadth of the tabernacle.
Now, if we get through Ezekiel, if you read all this, he showed the complete building of the temple. Gave you sizes and footage and everything. But now, once the building was complete, then here come the Lord. Now let's go into Ezekiel, the 43rd chapter. Ezekiel 43. This is what the whole building is complete now. And the whole Temple Mount has been set in order. Now here come the Lord. First thing you say, the Lord is going to come from heaven, and he is going to come from heaven. But not at this time. We're going to show you he will already be here when this temple is complete. And we're going to show you where it's going to be. Ezekiel 43 and verse 1. Here come the Lord. Go ahead and read.
Afterward, he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looketh toward the east.
Go ahead.
And behold, the glory of the God of Israel came from the way of the east. And his voice was like a noise of many waters.
Go ahead.
And the earth shined with his glory.
So now the glory of the Lord God came by way of the east. And saying the earth shined with his glory. Why? Because he was here. He was walking, coming right on across, because he came right on across the same river that Joshua and them came across, the Jordan River. And the earth shined with his glory because he was here. And so his voice was like many waters. That means he had a heavy voice. Skip down to verse 4, and go ahead.
And the glory of the Lord came into the house by the way of the gate, whose prospect is toward the east.
Now this is this temple that the angel was measuring all that time. So the glory of the Lord came by way of the east, and he came into the house that was already built. And we're going to have to investigate that, because the house that they're going to build over there is going to be torn down. But go ahead and read.
So the Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court. And behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house.
Go ahead.
And I heard him speaking unto me out of the house. And the man stood by me.
Go ahead.
And he said unto me, Son of man, the place of my throne.
He said, Son of man, because once he went into the house, he showed him, Son of man, the place of my throne. Go ahead and read.
And the place of the soles of my feet.
And the place of the soles of my feet. Go ahead.
Where I would dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever.
Wait a minute. Are the children of Israel going to be in heaven? Well, I will dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. Why is it that you never heard this, sisters and brothers? Because you have been taught by the Gentiles. They think that they don't have a dog in this fight. They figure that we shouldn't be interested. But look, sisters and brothers, when God takes Israel back, he's going to take every man to his own nation that he started at. We can't do it. I won't do it in this lesson because I don't have time. But he said, during that time, every man is going to turn to their own people, and they're all going to flee to their own countries. And I'd like to ask you, then when everybody's going to their own country, where are you going? They're going to Africa. You ain't never heard a European say, I'm a European American. He said, I'm French, or I'm German. I'm Spanish, Norwegian. Ask you, where you from? Africa? What part? You don't want to end up in Ethiopia. Look what the Ethiopians doing to the philosophers were the Israelites. You don't want to end up in Rwanda. Look what the Hutus did to the Tutsis, which are Israelites. Even got so bad until they got together and wrote the Europeans and petitioned the Europeans to stop the Hamites, which was black, from killing the Israelites. So you might end up in one of them countries that look like you, but they know who you are, and they don't like you. What you think they're going to do to you? But the Lord said he is going to come. And he showed Ezekiel the soul, his throne, and he showed him where the soles of his feet going to be. He said, well, I would dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. Go ahead and read.
In my holy name shall the house of Israel no more defile, neither they nor their kings by their whoredom, nor by the carcasses of their kings in their high places.
Now he said, in the holy name, they ain't going to defile no more. What's his holy name that they'll defile? The name of Israel. That's one of God's names. And when you look at YouTube and look at a lot of people on this company on the streets with all these uniforms on, screaming and hollering and cussing at people and disrespecting women, they defiling the Lord's holy name. So when people like us, and we Israelites, oh, I don't want to listen to you. I never forget years ago when we rented a storefront, when we come up out my basement. I went and talked to this guy. Yeah, I got a place. I said, yeah, we're going to have a church. Yeah. What's your denomination? I said, we Hebrew Israelites. No. I had to show this man my credentials. You understand? At that time, I was a city official. I had to show what's going on. Hey, look at me. I'm no subversive. I had to actually talk him into letting us rent this place. You know why? Because the brothers have polluted the Lord's holy name, which is Israel. Well, he got a lot of names, sister and brother, but this is the one that he adopted us and gave us his name. So where the Lord said he's going to dwell? In the midst of Israel forever. And then he said, the place of my throne, didn't he? What throne is that? Let's go look at it. Let's go into Luke, the first chapter. Luke chapter 1. Did the Lord tell you the law and the testimony? The law and the testimony. That's the Old and the New. The Old and the New Testament. So if they don't speak according to that, they don't have no light in them. In other words, they don't have no truth. It takes both of these books to dig this out. Luke chapter 1, and we're going to start reading at verse 26. Luke 1 and 26. Because the Lord that said, the place of my feet, and my throne and the place of the soles of my feet, this is Jesus talking about, sisters and brothers. He's the one, he's talking about himself. He is the one that's going to dwell in the midst of the children of Israel forever. He is. But don't nobody want to tell you about that. So rather than go with that, and being that you've been taught by the Gentile, they'd rather just take you off to heaven somewhere. But this book is written for everybody. Luke 1 and verse 26. Go ahead and read.
And in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent from God unto a city of Galilee.
Go ahead.
Named Nazareth. To a virgin espoused to a man whose name was Joseph.
Go ahead.
Of the house of David. And the virgin's name was Mary.
And so the angel was sent to Joseph's house because he had a message for his wife, Mary. Skip down to verse 30 and let's see what this message is. Verse 30, go ahead.
And the angel said unto her, Fear not, Mary.
Go ahead.
For thou hast found favor with God.
Fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God. Go ahead.
And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son.
Go ahead.
And shall call his name Jesus.
Now, this name comes from heaven. People are always trying to kick him. I got all these expert, what do they call it, linguistics? They know all the languages. And you and listen to you talk, you can't even speak good English. Well, this what now, that what now. I tell them all the time, you are the children of slaves. Whatever you have was given to you by somebody else. So what make you think this name here is better than that name? The Lord told us with a stammering lip and another tongue will he speak to his people. That means he's going to speak to you in the language that you speak, and whatever name he give you in that language, that's the name he wants you to have. So now you're going to call his name Jesus. Go ahead and read.
He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest.
That's the Son of God. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David.
So that's the throne he's going to set on. He's going to give unto him the throne of his father David. Go ahead and read.
And he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever.
And he's going to rapture you off to heaven. You mean he ain't going to rapture you off to heaven? So in order for him to sit on the throne of David and reign over the house of Jacob, which is Israel forever, he have to keep coming to the earth, don't he? He didn't stop and rapture you up to him. He kept coming, sister and brother, because he got the earth to straighten out. If the Father came to this earth under condition, I guess he don't have the tolerance of Jesus. He'd probably kill everything that breathed. So he got to come and fix this thing. And he's going to rule over the house of Jacob forever. Finish that.
And of his kingdom there shall be no end.
And of his kingdom there shall be no end. But remember now, in Ezekiel, when he came through that east gate, there was a lateral move, not a vertical move, sisters and brothers. And he went into the temple. So where was he coming from? Let's go into Isaiah, the 16th chapter, and see. He certainly wasn't coming from heaven. He came through the east gate. He came into the land just like Joshua then went in when they took down Jericho. They crossed it. They crossed the river and went right on into the land. And the Jordan River is still there, sister and brother, and the Lord let us maintain his name, so we still know the Jordan River is still there. Isaiah chapter 16. Isaiah chapter 16. And we're going to read verse 1. Isaiah chapter 16 and verse 1. Okay, read it.
Send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land, from Selah to the wilderness.
Now, so Jesus coming to the wilderness. You understand? Because the Lord do everything the same. Who are there? Go ahead and read.
Unto the mount of the daughter of Zion.
Unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. Because when the first, but just prior, when they built that temple in Jerusalem, and the Pope moved from Rome into the temple, the Lord tell you to flee. Where are we going to flee? We're going to flee to the wilderness. So when Jesus comes, that's where he's going to find us that have some understanding. That's why it says, send you to the wilderness, to the mount of the daughters of Zion. Skip down to verse 5 and read it.
And in mercy shall the throne be established. And he shall sit upon it in truth in the tabernacle of David, judging and seeking judgment and hasting righteousness.
Didn't the angel tell you he was going to sit on the throne of David? Isaiah just co-signed that, sister and brother. But he's going to sit there. But before you go to the land, sister and brother, we got to go to the wilderness. And this is, I don't hear my brothers talking about this. So when the Lord bring Israel back, he's going to bring Israel by the same way that he brought our fathers. We know where it is. But let's go and show it. Let's go into Ezekiel, the 20th chapter. Ezekiel chapter 20. Because I'm going to tell you something, sisters and brothers. When I look at my Hebrew brothers around here with their behavior and their conversation, they will never get out of the wilderness. But everyone is going to get there. The Lord not going to leave one person in the nation where he scattered them. Not even one. Just like when Israel came out of Egypt, they didn't leave one. They didn't even leave a wine head. They brought him too. If you're in jail, he's going to get you out of there. They're going to bring him too. The Lord is not going to leave one Israelite nowhere. Because the Lord knows where every one of us are. Ezekiel 20 and verse 32. First thing you're letting us know, we ain't going to be like the nations. Because Israel is like the nation now. Look at all these churches tomorrow. They all going to be teaching stuff that's not in this Bible. Verse 32, go ahead.
And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all.
This is the Lord talking to Israel. And that which cometh in your mind shall not be at all. Go ahead.
That ye say, we will be as the heathen.
We will be as the heathen.
As the families of the countries to serve wood and stone.
As the families of the countries to serve wood and stone. That's all they're serving, sisters and brothers. Somebody should take the initiative and look up Baal. You find out what he made out of. Even this star that the Edomites running around that they gave to our Hebrew brothers, they got it all over. That's the star of Remphan. False God. And then we got Christmas coming up. All these people going to have their living room decked with Christmas trees, toys all over. Nobody bothered to go into the history books, encyclopedia, and read on the Christmas. You find out that was around way before Christ. But what we're doing, we want to be like the other nations. We want to serve this. Ain't this what we're doing now? And the biggest defenders are your people. Okay, I'm going to join back with you. I'm going to say us. But he said, that which is come in your mind that you're going to serve other gods, pagan God, that ain't going to be. Go ahead and read.
As I live, saith the Lord God,
go ahead.
Surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
He said, I'm going to rule over you, Israel. You thinking about ruling over somebody? He said, no, I'm going to rule over you. Go ahead and read.
And I will bring you out from the people. And will gather you out of the countries wherein ye are scattered.
And I'm going to bring you out from the people, and I'm going to gather you from all the countries where I've scattered you. Go ahead and read.
With a mighty hand. And with a stretched out arm.
Go ahead.
And with fury poured out.
Because it's going to be ugly. He's going to take down this whole world first. Go ahead and read.
And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people.
Wait a minute. You ain't going directly to the land? I'm going to take you to the wilderness first. Go ahead and read.
And there will I plead with you face to face.
And there will I plead with you face to face. That means he is here at that time. Like he was in the wilderness. He will be here in the wilderness. He said, I'm going to plead with you face to face. Go ahead and read.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt.
He's telling you right now, it ain't going to be no different, Israel. I'm going to do the same thing because I have a purpose. Go ahead and read.
So will I plead with you, saith the Lord God.
So I'm going to plead with you face to face because I'm going to be here just like I pleaded with your father. Go ahead and read.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod.
And I'm going to cause you to pass under the rod.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. Sisters and brothers, that is something that most Hebrew Israelites have a problem with. How are you brought into the bond of the covenant? What we going to do after class? Baptize. Because when you get baptized, you are in the bond of the covenant. What is a bond? That's something that imprisons you. It shackles you. That means I can't do what I want to do, what I used to do. I am bound now by the word of God. And we read every opening on the law that you're going to be bound by. No stealing, no killing, no bearing false witness, no committing adultery, and no fornicating, sleeping around all over the place. Once you walk in here, you're under the covenant. You got to walk like you under the covenant. He says, so I'm going to plead with you face to face. I'm going to bring you into the bond of the covenant. And for that, what does he say? Go ahead and read.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels. Go ahead and read.
And them that transgress against me.
And them that transgress against me.
I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel.
Wait a minute. You mean they ain't going to enter into the land of Israel? Finish that verse.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Think about it, sister and brother. You being Israelites. All Israelites all over the world, God's going to bring them all to the wilderness. And if you don't come into the bond of the covenant and you rebel against Jesus, oh, what's going on, JC? Bam, you dead.
That ain't going to cut it.
I don't know who you are. I only know Yahweh. You dead. Yahudah. Goodbye. What I'm saying, sisters and brothers, whatever, when you come there, whatever little bit of idiosyncrasies you have, you better invest them at the edge of the wilderness. Because he said he's going to bring you from all the countries where you've been scattered, and you will, I want you to read that again. Read it.
And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgressed against me.
Go ahead.
I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn. And they shall not enter into the land of Israel.
And they shall not enter into the land of Israel. I want my Hebrew brothers to hear this. Yeah, they're watching me all the time. Because I'm the grandfather of Israel, whether y'all knew it or not. I'm the old man in Israel. I've been around longer than all of them. All the people that was around with me in the beginning are either before me, they're either dead or they ain't doing too much because they ain't got the energy to do too much. I'm keep wondering what the Lord did to me that I got the energy to keep rolling. Because in November, I'll be 80 years old. I ain't no spring chicken. But the whole thing is, I want them brothers to listen. It would be a bad thing for you to be gathered. Oh, yeah, the Lord is taking us back now. That's after Jesus comes. You ain't going nowhere until Jesus comes. I can read that all over the book. But you rejoicing and gathering. We go into the wilderness, and you get in the wilderness and die there. Don't you know that this is what happened to our forefathers?
Yes, exact same thing.
Sisters and brothers, few Israelites know that all the Israelites from 20 years and older died in the wilderness that left Egypt, except for Joshua and Caleb. That's a big number, ain't it?
600,000.
He's going to do the same thing with us. You know why? Because he ain't taking no garbage into the land. You're going to be holy when you get there. Now, you're going to pollute yourself some once you get there, but you ain't going in there dirty. Because he's going to bring you into the bond of the covenant. And if you refuse to come under the bond of the covenant, you will not get into the land. That's why he's taking you to Israel. Also, too, he's going to marry Israel. They're talking about the marriage of the Lamb. Don't nobody want to start talking about that. The marriage starts in the wilderness. Let's go into Hosea, the 2nd chapter. It starts in the wilderness, sisters and brothers. Hosea chapter 2. That's why my brothers called here. A lot of them called here. Now they want to argue with me. I try to reason with them with the book. But when I see that the Bible is not having no effect, I tell them, look here, we're not going nowhere. There ain't no need of us having this conversation. It's fruitless. You have a good life. And it's over with. Because for me to argue with you about something doesn't mean that I'm not sure what I'm talking about. Or I don't know what I'm talking about. But when I know what I'm talking about, why should I argue with somebody that don't know what they're talking about? You can't reason with a dead man. If you think you can, go to Leak Funeral Home and see if you can talk to some of them corpses out there. Hosea chapter 2, and we're going to start reading at verse 14. Because Israel is also called the Lord's wife. But the Lord divorced Israel. He said he gave Israel a written divorcement. Did y'all ever read that? So now he's going to reverse it. Verse 14, go ahead.
Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably unto her.
Because that's where you're going first. Go ahead and read.
And I will give her her vineyards from thence.
Because he's going to let you know where you belong. Because the land is still there, and the land, you have an inheritance in the land. That's why the Lord showed that when Jeremiah, when he bought this parcel of land from his nephew. See, you can't sell it outside the tribe. So when you get there, the Lord is going to show you, yeah, this is your plot here. That's your plot. You're Judah, you belong here. Benjamin, you belong here. Levi, you don't have nothing, so you scattered among all the clouds. Thing. Everybody got an inheritance system. We actually have some property. And the Lord's going to give it to us. If you don't make the first resurrection, I ain't interested in no property. I won't do that first resurrection. Y'all can have it. But anyway, what verse are we?
Middle of 15.
Go ahead and read.
And the valley of Achor for a door of hope.
Go ahead.
And she shall sing there, as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt.
See, when Israel come out of the land of Egypt, they were singing, they was happy for a minute until the Lord dropped them laws on them. They didn't want to obey nobody. But go ahead and read. But as your forefathers did, you're going to sing too. Go ahead and read.
And it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishai, and shall call me no more Baali.
You know what Ishai mean? My husband. Because that's where he's going to marry this nation. And once you come under the covenant, you just married the Lord. I tell people that when they get baptized. Don't you know you just married the Lord? And just like any other wedding vows, you have an obligation now. If you ain't ready to walk in it, you best stay up out of that water. So you're going to call him Ishai and not Baalim by the name of some pagan god. Go ahead and read.
For I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name.
Go ahead.
And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground.
Go ahead.
And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely.
Now this covenant he's going to make with the beasts of the field and the fowls and snakes and everything, that means it's going to go back to the days of Adam, where animals did attack you or nothing else. People, animals, and everything else were vegetarian, sisters and brothers, or fruitarian. So when in this day, you'll be able to go and scratch a lion's head, and he ain't going to bite you one time. Play with poisonous snakes, he ain't going to bite you. Because the Lord said, I'm going to make a covenant with them. They ain't going to attack you no more. He broke the covenant that he had with them in the beginning. He told you that in Genesis the 9th chapter. When he put meat on the table for you to eat, he also put you on the table for all the beasts to eat.
That's right.
But now he said, I'm going to make a covenant with you now. I'm going to rehash that old covenant I had in the pre-flood days of times of Noah. Go ahead and read.
Verse 19. And I will betroth thee unto me forever.
And I will betroth thee. See, we have been told that betrothal means promise. But betroth in the Bible means marry. So I'm going to marry you. Go ahead and read.
Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness, and in judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercies.
Go ahead.
I will even betroth thee unto me in faithfulness, and thou shalt know the Lord.
Then you're going to know me. Skip down to verse 23. Go ahead and read.
And I will show her, and I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy.
So I'm going to sow unto me in the earth. I ain't going to take off to heaven. It's all going to happen right here. He's going to take Israel to the wilderness. He's going to bring us under the bond of the covenant. And once you come out of this covenant, you just married the Lord, sisters and brothers. You just married the Lord. Now, once the Lord's got to be out there teaching these people for 3.5 years. That's the second half of this ministry. Once he come up out of there, he's going to come up out of there with a nation that he is married now. We will call him our husband, and he's going to call us his wife. Let's go into Songs of Solomon, chapter 8. Songs of Solomon, chapter 8. Now, people think this is a love song between Solomon and all them women he dealt with. No. This is a love story between God and Israel, his people, sisters and brothers. Other lesson, we will show you that absolutely. But we can't teach everything in one lesson. Songs of Solomon, chapter 8. And we're going to start reading at 1, verse 1. Okay. This is the love story that Solomon got between him and his people. Go ahead.
Oh, that thou wert my brother.
That the Lord had between him and his people. I'm sorry. The Lord. Go ahead and read.
Oh, that thou wert my brother. That sucked the breast of my mother when I should find thee without.
Now Jesus is our brother because he was an Israelite. You understand? Go ahead and read.
I would kiss thee. Yea, I should not be despised.
Go ahead.
I would leave thee and bring thee into my mother's house. Who would instruct me? I would cause thee to drink of spiced wine of the juice of my pomegranate.
Now his mother's house is the land of her mother's house in the land of Israel. So I'm going to bring you to my mother's house. In order to do that, they have to leave where they are and go into the land of Israel. Skip down to verse 5 and look at this. Go ahead and read.
Who is this that cometh up from the wilderness, leaning upon her beloved?
Israel. That's who it's going to be. Who is this that cometh up from the wilderness, leaning upon her beloved? That's why Jesus brought us through that eastern gate, sisters and brothers. Finish that.
I raised thee up under the apple tree There thy mother brought thee forth. There she brought thee forth that bare thee.
Now, when Jesus get through with his ministry for 3.5 years, he is going to come up out of the wilderness, and he's going to go across the Jordan River like Joshua them did. Come by way of the east. And going to go right into the land, sisters and brothers. So the thing is, he's going to go right into the temple. So the question I have to ask is, if the temple that the Edomites going to be torn down, who built the temple? I used to wonder about that for years. He's going to come out of the wilderness, and he's going to go into the temple. Who built it? Let's go back and get a little history, and we're going to find out. Let's start this in Ezra, the first chapter. Ezra chapter 1. Ezra is a little book, but it come right after 2 Chronicles. Ezra chapter 1. Because we need you to walk through this, sister and brother, because Jesus, when he comes, he's going to the wilderness, actually, which is in southwest Arabia, Saudi Arabia, which used to be the land of the Midianites. That's where the wilderness is. That's where Mount Sinai is. He's going to take us, which he called Mount Horeb. He's going to take us to the same place he took Moses then. Well, how are we going to get there, Brother Boyd? Don't worry about it. All you got to do is be clean and know the sign, because the Lord is going to put the transportation there for you. How do I know that? Because you couldn't have convinced the Israelites that God was going to split a sea for them. Your back is at the sea. Where you going now? God told Moses, stretch out your staff over the sea. And he separated the waters, and you went over on dry land. Whoever would have thought that? If he can split a sea and take Israel back, he sure can do like he said in Isaiah, who is this that fly to the window of my people as a dove? And then he said, ships of Tarshish going to be the first to bring my children home. He got it laid out. All you got to do is know the sign and be clean. That's mean walking his ways. The Lord done plotted this thing. All you got to do is be prepared for good when it get here. So now, let's look at Ezra, the first chapter, and we're going to start reading at verse 1, because we're going to show you who built that temple, but we have to work up to it a little bit so you understand what you're looking at. Ezra 1:1. Go ahead and read.
Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom.
Now, this king of Persia, this guy was a servant of God. God spoke to this guy and spoke about it before he even started to exist. I can read that. That's when I said, good, this Persia, no, Israel. Well, I said, Israel is the priest, not the only servant. You got people in every nation that serve God, sister and brother, but he just chose us to be the priest. This guy was a genuine servant of God. Listen to what he said now. Go ahead and read.
And put it also in writing, saying.
He made a proclamation, and he put it all in writing, said, go ahead, and put it in writing, said.
Thus said Cyrus, king of Persia. The Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth.
How many of these rulers nowadays will say that? None. Because they think that they got it by their power. He said, the Lord God of heaven have made me ruler over given me the kingdoms of all the earth. Go ahead.
And he hath charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah.
So if he charged him, that means he communicated with this Persian, didn't he? He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He have charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. Go ahead and read.
Who is there among you of all his people?
Go ahead.
His God be with him.
Go ahead.
And let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel.
Now, go ahead.
He is the God which is in Jerusalem.
So he didn't get a bunch of Persians to go over there and build it. You know why? Because God wanted Israel to build his temple. So Cyrus said, who is it among the Israelites that will go up and take care of this business? And let's show you who was here, because, see, we were scattered among the Gentiles. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. So who is here that's going to jump to this task? Skip down to verse 5 and read it.
Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin.
Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin. Go ahead and read.
And the priests and the Levites.
And the priests and the Levites. Go ahead.
With all them whose spirit God had raised to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem.
So now why did he say Benjamin, Levi, and Judah? Because once the Assyrians took the 9 tribes out, they were the only one that was left, sister and brother. That's when people ask you, are you a Jew? I said, I don't know. I said, I do know one thing, because I'm scattered among the Gentiles. That's white folks, sisters and brothers. I'm either Judah, Benjamin, or Levi. Where the Lord got me preaching this gospel, I just might be a Levite. You understand? But I don't know which one of the tribe, but I know I'm out of the tribe. Like a brother on the phone yesterday, well, all of them here. I said, man, it was 12 tribes. Only 3 is among the Gentiles. That's what you are. You either a Jew, a Benjamite, or a Levite. So they went up to build. They got together to build it. Let's go into Ezra, the 2nd chapter. Ezra chapter 2. And we're going to see who went up. 2 and 1. Go ahead and read.
Now these are the children of the province that went up out of the captivity of those which had been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away into Babylon.
Go ahead.
And came again unto Jerusalem and Judah, everyone unto his city.
Now everyone, they knew where they city they came from. Like when we come up out the wilderness, we're going to know where our city is. But go ahead and read.
Which came with Zerubbabel.
Now, which came with Zerubbabel? He's the first one. He's the governor. He's the leader. Go ahead and read.
Jeshua, Nehemiah, Seriah, Realiah, Mordecai, Bilshan, Mispar, Bigvai, Rehum, Baanah, the number of the men of the people of Israel.
So let's see how many went up, because they named all these people, but we ain't going to name all of that. Let's go into verse 64. Skip down to verse 64 and let's look at the total amount of Israelites, Jews, Benjamites, and Levites went back to the land. Verse 64, read it.
The whole congregation together was 42,303 score.
So Cyrus let all of these Jews go back, sisters and brothers. Now we're going to co-sign this with a history book. Let's go in the encyclopedia, the Growler Encyclopedia, volume 3. What's it say?
Cyrus the Great reigned from 550 to 530 BC, founder of the Persian Empire, son of Cambyses I, ascending the throne of Anshan in 559. Cyrus in 550 overthrew the Median king Astagast in battle, assumed the throne of Media, and established a capital of Ecbatana.
Go ahead.
He then ruled Assyria, northern Mesopotamia, Syria, Armenia, and Cappadocia. In 547, he conquered Lydia from Croesus and subdued the Greek cities of the Asia Minor coast. As king of the universe, Cyrus proclaimed peace for all.
Look what he named himself, as king of the universe, because he know God had given him this whole earth. He could proclaim peace for all, and what did he do? Go ahead.
In 537, he permitted 40,000 captive Jews to return to Palestine.
He permitted 40,000. Well, Brother Boyd, that's 2,360 off. So he didn't have it down to the letter like the Israelites kept their own book. This is Cyrus, a Persian history we're reading about. I figure if we said 40,000, so 40,360, that ain't very much off, is it? In short, sisters and brothers, the Lord had Cyrus to do that. And history just let us know Cyrus did exactly what the Lord said. He let them go back to build a temple in Jerusalem, sisters and brothers. Because this temple represent the temple that is to come.
Your son.